Continuing with our discussion on the characteristics of linear and nonlinear processes, let's make a few further observations. How does a linear and nonlinear process respond to positive and negative inputs? So the scenario is like this. Let's say this is the process. It can be a general system. Let's say it has got one input U and one output Y. So the input, let's say, is like this. There is some value of the input. It could be a coolant flow rate, and this could be the corresponding reactant concentration at some value. So this line refers to the fact that U has been steady at this value, and corresponding to that steady value of U, the output Y is also at a certain steady value. So U could be the coolant flow rate, QC. Y could be the concentration of A in a chemical reactor, if this P denotes a chemical process. Now the question is, if I step up, right, if I make a change in the input in this particular fashion, that means the input goes from this value QC1, let's say 3 meter cube per minute. If let's say it is stepped up to 4 meter cube per minute, so from QC1 value it goes to a value QC2. The numbers can be like 3 for QC1 and 4 for QC2. So this is called a step up, right? So, or a positive step input. It resembles a step, as you can see, right? The value suddenly increases from QC1, it reaches a value QC2, and this step change is made at a certain time. Now in response to this input, the system will respond. Let's say it responds like this. Okay, let's say the system responds. The system slowly responds and then reaches a new concentration. So corresponding to QC1, the concentration of Ca1, and corresponding to this value of QC2, the value it reaches is Ca2 ultimately. So the change in U, which is the coolant flow rate, from a value QC1 to QC2, that creates a change of the output from a value Ca1 and it becomes Ca2. So this is what we mean by response to a positive input, right? You can also think of a situation where the same process, it is operating at, let's say, the generic symbol is U for inputs and the generic symbol for Y is the output. But in this case, let's say QC is the physical variable, coolant flow rate. C subscript indicates coolant, Q indicates flow rate, right? And concentration of species A is Ca, right? So that is the specific symbols in a particular problem. Let's say we are looking at a reactor, then the generic input U can be specified as the coolant flow rate QC, and the generic output Y can be denoted by this specific output variable relevant to the system, which is Ca. And like what we had before, in let's say the value of U or QC was QC1, right? And corresponding to that, the output was at Ca1. So it was holding steady. So if I maintain the input as QC1, the output is maintained at Ca1. So this is what is the system at steady state. And now, right, I can bump it down. I can bump the input down. I can alter the flow rate by, let's say, closing a coolant valve. So from QC1, it comes, let's say, to QC3, right? So this is the new value of the coolant flow rate. In response to that, Ca1 may respond like this, and it may reach a value Ca3 ultimately. So this is the final value of the concentration. So in this case, we will say the system has been perturbed by a negative input. To be very specific here, by a negative step input, right? So this particular way of changing the input is called a step change. And if you have done a course on process dynamics and control, you will understand what we mean by a step change, right? But this is what it is. Basically, I have described it. Now, how does a system respond to positive and negative input, right? So that is what we are trying to say. What happens if P is a linear system versus if P is a non-linear system? So one nice characteristic of a linear system is the linear system shows a symmetric response. That means, the difference between Ca1 and Ca3 is the same as the difference between Ca1 and Ca2. So this height and this height actually will be the same, as long as this step change is the same as this step change here, right? So if you change the input value by, let's say, +1 unit, and if you change the input by -1 unit, the direction in which the process reacts can be opposite, like you see here, right? Here, if you increase the coolant temperature, the concentration of A goes up. And if you decrease the coolant flow rate, the concentration of A goes down, right? So that is understandable. But the size of change in the output is going to be the same as long as the size of the input is the same. So this is what we mean by a symmetric response. This is one characteristic of a symmetric response, right? So it acts equally in both directions, right? It does the same way. Linear systems will show this kind of a symmetric response, whereas a nonlinear system will show an asymmetric response. That means on one side, if you bump the input up, that means a positive step change, the output will change by a certain amount. And if you have the same magnitude but a negative change in the input, the output will change by a different value, right? So the amount of change that the system undergoes can be quite different, right? The way it reaches the value also can be quite different, as you will see in the illustrations later. So a characteristic of a linear system is that it shows a symmetric or a proportional response. Nonlinear systems will not show the symmetric or proportional response. Nonlinear systems response can be expected to be asymmetric. Okay, so that's one characteristic. The other thing is the linear system, right? The gain and the time constant are the same. That means the gain is what I mentioned just now, right? This change, right? Delta C A 2, let's call this delta CA3, and let's call this as delta CA2, the change that happens in the output. So in a linear system, what happens is delta CA2 by QC1 QC2 minus QC1. So this is the net change in the output divided by the net change in the input for this particular case. This will be the same as delta CA3, right? The change here divided by QC1 minus QC3. So this is the change in output for the second experiment. This is the change in input for the second experiment. The ratios will be the same. So that is what we mean by this, by saying that the gain is the same, right? So gain is nothing but the change in the output, net change in the output divided by the net change in the input. For a linear system, in both directions, these gains will be the same, right? So that is the that calculation of gain is based on the net change in output divided by the net change in input. We are not concerned about when things happen. We are just interested in how much change is there, right? So based on that, we have this concept of gain. So gain is nothing but the change in the output divided by the change in the input. So for a linear system, whether you perturb it in the positive direction or you perturb it in the negative direction, this gain will turn out to be the same. For nonlinear systems, this will not be the case. And that is why we said nonlinear systems will show asymmetric response, right? That basically says the gain in both directions will be different. Not only that, the time it takes for the change to occur, right? So here we make a change here, and then the system reaches a steady state after a certain amount of time. So the input change is made here at this particular time, and it takes a while for the system to change and then flatten out. So the speed of the response, right? Amount of response determines the gain. The speed of the response is a different measure altogether, right? And related to that speed of the response, you have a system attribute which is called the time constant. Again, those of you who have done a course on process dynamics and control will understand this terminology. If you do not know this term, don't worry. Time constant means the speed of response of the system. So a linear system, whether you perturb it in the positive direction or whether you perturb it in the negative direction, it will take the same time to reach a new value. That means its speed of the response is the same whether you perturb it in a positive way or whether you perturb it using a negative change in the input. Nonlinear system will not be like that, right? In one direction it may respond faster, in other direction it may respond slower. So this is a characteristic of a nonlinear system, right? So that is what is mentioned in these two lines. Now, let me take a very simple example here. For example, let's look at the left-hand side, which is marked in red color here. Let's consider an equation y is equal to 5x plus 2. I'm not even talking about a dynamical system where things change with respect to time. Just consider the simple algebraic equation y is equal to 5x plus 2. X is the input, y is the output. So x is like u in the previous diagram and y is the output, right? So this is a very simple algebraic relationship. Note it is linear, right? 5x is a linear term plus 2 is a linear term. So this relationship is a linear relationship. Now let's assume that the base value of the input is 1. That means x is equal to 1. In which case y will have a value of 7. So 5 times 1 plus 2 is 5 plus 2, which is 7. Now let's change x by plus 0.1. That means x becomes 1.1, right? From 1, I'm going to make a change of 0.1. So x becomes 1.1. In which case y will become 5 times 1.1 plus 2. That is 5.5 plus 2. Therefore, y becomes 7.5. So the change in y is 0.5. When x is equal to 1, y is 7. When x is equal to 1.1, y is 7.5 for this system, right? Which is described by y is equal to 5x plus 2. So therefore, the gain is the change in y divided by the change in x. Because x is the input, y is the output. So it's always output by input. So change in y is going to be 7.5 minus 7. The change in x is 1.1 minus 1. So the first value of x is 1. The new value of x is 1.1. And corresponding to this new value of 1.1, y value is 7.5 as shown in the calculation there. And corresponding to this x is equal to 1, y was equal to 7 as shown there. So you're going to get 0.5 by 0.1. Therefore, the gain of the system is 5. So the gain k is equal to 5. In any case, the change in y is 0.5 as you can see. Now, let's do another experiment where we change x from its base value of 1, you change it by minus 0.1. That means you are perturbing the system in the negative direction. So the new value of x is 0.9. So if you substitute the value of x is equal to 0.9 in our system equation, we are going to get y is equal to 5 times 0.9 plus 2, which is going to be equal to 6.5. Notice the change in y is 0.5 negative. So in magnitude, the change in y is the same, right? In magnitude, right? Don't look at the sign because in one case you have made a positive change, in one case you have made a negative change. Therefore, the sign you would expect it to change. But the magnitude of change in y for the same amount of change in the input of 0.1, it's the same 0.5. So if you calculate the gain here, so gain is going to be equal to k is equal to delta y by delta x. So this is going to be equal to 6.5 minus 7 divided by 0.9 minus 1. So if you do it, you're going to get k is equal to 5. So kindly note that the gain of the system is the same. Whether you perturb the system in the positive or negative direction, the gain of the system is the same. So this is a characteristic of a linear system. Now, if you do a similar experiment on a nonlinear system, which is given by 5x squared plus 2. So this induces the nonlinearity in the system because of the x squared term. So if you use the base value of x is equal to 1, the value of y is equal to 7. 5 times 1 squared plus 2 is going to be 5 plus 2, which is equal to 7. Now let's do the same kind of experiments as we did with the linear system. Now we change x by plus 0.1. In which case the new value of x is 1.1. And if you substitute the value of 1.1 for x in this equation, you're going to get the value of y to be 8.05. I hope I've done the calculations correctly. You can do it and verify whether I've done it right or not. Okay, so if you do that calculation and see, you will find that y is equal to 8.05 when x is equal to 1.1. All right, so in that case, the change in y is going to be 1.05. All right, 1.05 because 8.05 minus 0.7. So if you're looking for the gain of the system in this case, it's going to be 1.05 by 0.1 because the change in y is 1.05, the change in x is 0.1. Therefore, it's going to be 1.05, which is the change in y divided by the change in X. So the gain is 10.5 for this positive change in the input. Now, coming back, you do another experiment where from its base value, you change X by the same amount, but in the negative direction. So you change X by minus 0.1. So the new value of X is 0.9. So if you put the value of X is equal to 0.9 in the system equation or in the model equation for the system, you're going to get Y is equal to 6.05. So if you look at the change in Y, the change in Y is 0.95 here, because 6.05 minus 7, the final value minus the starting value. At X is equal to 1, the value of Y is 7. So 6.05 minus 7 will be 0.95 negative. So can you see the change here? Ignore the sign. If you look at the magnitude, when you make a positive step change or a positive change of 0.1, the value of Y changes by 1.05. If you change the X value by 0.1 negative from its base value, the change in Y is 0.95, right? The magnitude. I'm just talking about the magnitude here. So you can see the difference. You didn't see this difference when you work with linear system. But on the nonlinear system, you see in one direction the change is 1.05 and in the opposite direction the change is minus 0.95. So if you look at the gain of the system here, it will be the change in the output is minus 0.95 divided by the change in the input, which is 0.1 negative. This will give you 9.5. So the gain is different. As you can see, the gain in the positive direction is 10.5. The gain in the negative direction is 9.5. So there is a change in the magnitude response of the system. So that is why we call nonlinear systems to exhibit asymmetric response. It is not the same in both direction, and this is a very important characteristic of a nonlinear system. So the definition of a nonlinear system is things that are not linear. The nonlinearity can come in multiple ways. There's no way to define nonlinearity, right? Apart from saying whatever is not linear, that's nonlinear, right? So you can define the characteristics of a linear system. So you have to look at something called the superposition principle, right? So linear systems obey this principle of superposition and so on, right? So this asymmetric response is one characteristic of a nonlinear system. Now, if you take a distillation column, right, you are probably familiar with the distillation column, which separates, right, A and B species, let's say, based on the difference in their volatilities, right? So the lighter component goes up in the distillate stream. So if A is the lighter component, the top product will be rich in A, right? And the bottoms product will be rich in species B, which is called as heavy or less volatile component. And the heat for separation, right, is provided by supplying heat in the reboiler of the system. So this is an operation. I don't want to get too much into it, but if you look at distillation column, this is the basic idea. It's used to separate two or more species by supplying heat, right? In the most basic configuration, it's like this. And you have several trays in the column in which there is an interaction between vapor flows. The vapor flows in this direction, the liquid flows in this direction. So as it goes, the vapor goes up the column and the liquid comes from the top of the column. There is a mass transfer that happens between the vapor phase and the liquid phase, right? And that is what creates this nice separation. So this is a distillation column, which many of you might know. And amongst distillation columns, right, there is something called the high purity distillation column, where we are looking at purities of the product of the order of 99.5, 99% purity, etc. These are called high purity distillation columns, as opposed to looking for 70% purity or 80% purity. If you're looking for 99.7% purity, that would be called a high purity distillation column. So this is how, if you simulate a high purity distillation column, this is what you will see. So the 0.98, right, is the mole fraction in the distillate stream, right, of the lighter component. So 0.98 is the steady state mole fraction in the distillate stream, right? So that is what it is. Now what you do is you kind of change this reflex flow, right? That is one of the manipulated variables that the operators use. So if you want to increase the purity or decrease the purity, one of the ways to do it is by changing this reflex flow rate, right? So you can open this valve or you can close this valve. So if you do two experiments, one by opening the valve, that means you're allowing more reflex to increase the purity of the product. And if you close the valve, you are decreasing the reflux flow. Let's say, therefore, you are looking for lower purity, right? You're okay with lower purity of that distillate stream. We are looking at the top stream. Now, for the same amount of valve movement, right? Let's say you close the valve by 1% or open the valve by 1%. So this is what happens when you open the valve by 1% from its current value. It changes the purity, so the purity of the stream increases, and the response is like what is shown in blue color. From its original steady state, if you close the valve by 1%, right, the same amount, you are getting this response shown by the red dashed lines. And right away, you can see two things here. You can see that for the same amount of change made to the valve, the system responds very mildly, uh, for the positive step change. The change in Y is very small compared to the change in Y when you close the valve by the same amount, right? So this is the asymmetry in the response. So high purity distillation columns are nonlinear systems, whereas an ordinary distillation column may have very good linear behavior. But when you get into the high purity zone, the column behaves in a very nonlinear fashion. And this is one example of that, right? So if you have worked on simulations of high purity distillation columns, this is very clear to see for you. Okay, so that is one aspect. The second aspect is something I want you to note. So in the positive direction, right, besides the magnitude issue, this system, right, let's say the change in the valve position is implemented at time t is equal to 0. By about, let's say about 20 minutes or so, this curve flattens out in the positive direction, right? So the speed of the response is of the order of 20 minutes, let's say. This is called time to steady state. So by about 20 minutes, the system almost flattens out. If I make a positive change in the valve opening, that means if I open the valve a bit more, this is what happens. For the same amount of valve closing, the system takes about 40 minutes to reach steady state, right, before it flattens out. So this is another asymmetric behavior. The speed of response is different in two directions. This is what I alluded to when I said time constant of the system. All right, so this is the asymmetry both in terms of magnitude and in terms of the speed of the response. So this is an example of high purity distillation column. This is another example where we are having an acid-base neutralization process. So you have an acid stream, you have a base stream, and then sometimes you have a buffer stream, right? So, and in this particular case, we are looking at two output variables. So the amount of base or the alkaline stream can change. The flow rate is U2. The flow rate of the acid stream is denoted by the symbol U1. The flow rate of the buffer stream is denoted by the symbol U3. And what we have is the two levels, the two issues that are of importance to the people operating the system. One is to maintain the level of liquid in this tank at a certain value. So there is a level control that needs to be done, right? We do not want this tank to overflow, or we do not want it to drain out completely. So there is a certain amount of inventory you want to maintain in this tank. So the level control is important. So one variable that we take care is the output variable level. The other variable that is of interest, more interest, is basically the pH of the stream that goes out. All right, so we are trying to neutralize, let's say there is an acid stream, you cannot let it out to the environment or the river directly, right? Because that can be harmful to marine life, etc. So what you do is you kind of have this acid-base neutralization process. So you neutralize that acid stream with a base stream, okay? And so this pH, let's say, should be close to 7 to meet environmental regulations. So somebody monitors Y2, which is the pH, using a suitable instrument, etc. So this is a system having 3 inputs and 2 outputs. So the flow rate of the acid stream is one input, the flow rate of the base stream is another input, the flow rate of buffer stream is the third input, and then you have 2 outputs, Y1, which is the level, and Y2, which is the pH. So you may have feedback controllers that kind of do this task for us. If I want to maintain Y2 at a certain value, what I do is I measure the value of Y2, compare it with the value of 7, which is the set point value. Let's say that is the target value. So plus and minus. So this is a comparison. The error between the actual value of pH and the target value of pH that is fed to a controller C1. Let's say the controller is C1. It could be a PI or a PID controller, and that moves a valve that alters the flow rate of the base stream. All right. And you could have a level controller, which kind of takes the level measurement, compare it with the target value. Let's say it should be 3 feet. So it compares the current value of the level with the target value and then passes that information to a controller, which we'll call a C2, and that moves, let's say, this buffer valve. Okay. So U1 is a stream that comes as a disturbance to this process. So this is the basic idea. So all I want you to know is that the system has 3 inputs and 2 outputs. Now, what you can do is if you have a change of plus or minus 1 unit in acid flow, what happens is if you look at the level, right? If you look at the level, this is what happens when there is a change of +1 in the acid flow. The steady state value is 14 centimeters in this particular system. And when there is a change of +1 unit in acid flow, the system responds like this. So it takes some time to reach the steady state, but it responds like that. When there is a change in the acid flow of -1 from the steady state value, you get this response that you see here. So this is a response to positive change in the acid flow rate. So this is the response to a change of +1 in the acid flow rate compared to its base value. This is the response of the system to -1 change in acid flow. So what happens is, if you can see, the response is very symmetric, right? So if you look at this change from this steady state value to this value, right? This is the final value. And you look at this difference, these two heights will be similar, and the speeds of the response is also quite similar, as you can see. So I urge you to look at it, and then you will see what I mean. So the response of the system variable level to a change in acid flow is very symmetrical, right? It is quite symmetrical, as you can note. The speed as well as the magnitude is symmetrical. But when you're looking at pH, this is what you see. When there is a change in +1 unit in acid flow, the system responds like this. The system becomes more acidic, right? So the pH will go down. So when there is more acid in the system injected into the system, the pH will go down, right? Because pH less than 7 means acidic. So system is going to get more acidic. So this is the response of the system to +1 change in the acid flow. This is the response of the system to -1 change in the acid flow. So the amount of change in the acid flow is the same in both these experiments. But what you see is asymmetry in the response. All right. So the system responds more if you have a -1 change in acid flow compared to the case where you have a +1 change in the acid flow. The speeds of the response are also different, as you can see in this diagram. So now you have a system where there are two variables. Y1, the level, behaves in a linear way. Y2, which is the pH, behaves in a nonlinear fashion. Overall, the system is nonlinear, right? So if you're controlling the level of the system, a linear controller will work well. If you want to control the pH, you have to have a nonlinear controller because its behavior is nonlinear. Okay. Now, the other thing is, as I mentioned, the linear system, right, responds proportionally. So this is what you see. So what I'm showing here is when you have a step change of 1 unit in U for a linear system. So this diagram is for a linear system. You see the system responds by this much amount. It starts from 0 and goes to a value 5. So if you make a change of +1, the system responds with a change of 5 units. If you increase the input by 2 units from the base value, it responds like the blue line. So it starts at 0, but now it responds to 10. And that makes sense, right? That means it is proportional. If I make a change of +1 unit in U, the output changes by 5. If I make a change of +2 in U, the system responds by 10. So this is proportional. So linear systems have proportional response. So if I normalized these two things, if I took the blue curve and divided all the values by 2, then it would perfectly overlap with the red curve, saying the normalized responses are exactly identical. Right? So this is the characteristic of a linear system. A nonlinear system will not respond like that. In fact, the response can be qualitatively different. So this is the system response, a nonlinear system. If you make a change of +1 unit in U, the input, it responds like what you see as the blue curve there. If you change the input by +2 units, the system becomes oscillatory, as you can see there. right? So qualitatively itself, the nature of the response can be different if it is a nonlinear system. And the time to steady state, for example, this reaches in about, let's say, about 8 to 9 minutes. If you make a change of +1 in u, the input, the system responds in about 7 minutes, let's say 7-8 minutes. Whereas if you make a change of +2 in the system is oscillatory and it probably takes about 20-22 minutes to reach steady state. So the time response is different, the nature of the response itself is different. That's nonlinear world, right? So nonlinear systems have these kinds of interesting characteristics. So a little challenging to deal with nonlinear systems, but if you're in for an adventure, it's pretty interesting and cool to kind of work with nonlinear systems. I'll stop here and I'll catch up with you in a subsequent video. Thank you.